Well, guys, I have to say it. Kuro Games cooked once again. The 2.4 main story quest just wrapped up. So since I've just finished it, this is going to be my final review of the 2.4 main story quest. I obviously did a video earlier on, but that was sort of reviewing the beginning of the patch. But this now is for the quest and basically what I think of it. Now, unlike my previous review videos, I'm going to include a sort of theory crafting / spoiler talk section, which will be at the end of this video. So, of course, I will give my initial review before I go on to the spoilers. It's to pad my runtime. Yes, it is. I do want to mention a few things in this video, but first off we'll start with the pacing. Throughout the two quests, I feel like the pacing was mostly fine. I say mostly, I mean like 99.9% fine. The reason why it's not 100 is just because there was maybe a tiny bit of monologuing here and there, but then again, that monologuing was actually sort of helpful. It wasn't like brainless slop. It wasn't bloat. Words that were spoken were words of meaning. So that's why it's 99.9%. It's basically perfect. I mean, 100% is perfect, so it's basically perfect. And to add to that, the total runtime of the story, if you were to play it, you know, like autoplay and not skip through anything, is about 5 hours. That's both parts together. And I think what they've done, by slicing it down the middle, while still making part 1 not feel like you've just been blue balls, I think it's really good. I have to give them credit for that. So yes, pretty much amazing pacing. Well done to Kuro Games on that. Second of all, I want to talk about the character expressions. Now, of course, character expressions may not seem like much, but I've always thought that they really add a lot to basically the story and your immersion in it. Now, Genshin Impact, yes, I know, can't keep that game's name out of my mouth. Well, guess what? Fuck you! Genshin Impact has some of the worst character animations in gacha history. It is so bad. The characters are lifeless, they look like drones, they look completely unbothered, like they're just not there. Meanwhile, in Wuthering Waves, you've got, especially this update, they have really been amping up the character expressions. I mean, I was noticing them throughout, especially part 2. Lupa was crying, and her eyes were sort of shaking, like, you know, when you're about to cry, your eyes sort of start to glisten. Brother, you know how crazy those details are? That is mental. Along with that, body language as well, really good. Solidifies, it just makes a better story. Like, I can't stress that enough. It just makes you more immersed because you feel like the characters are actually real. Next up, I want to talk about the cutscenes. Now, I feel like we didn't get enough cutscenes, but I am very happy with what we got. Basically, what we got was 2 sort of main cutscenes at the end of each story, and maybe a couple in between as well. Now, by cutscenes, I do mean 3D animated cutscenes. Now, there are 2D animated, so I'm going to include them in this, but for 3D animated cutscenes, there maybe was a bit little, but because these cutscenes at the end of each part of the story was so long, that's probably why. So, again, those cutscenes were amazing, by the way. They were brilliant. The first part cutscene was great, and the second part, Lupa owning, absolutely amazing. Brilliant. Honestly, really good cutscenes. And the other one I wanted to touch on as well, that I can remember, was the sort of cutscene, the 2D cutscene, that had every character sort of adding their own little monologue, which I found really nice. Such a really good touch, because it felt like an actual story, you know, an actual play, as Falova would say. It felt like that when each character would take turns, you know, reading out their lines. It kind of felt like that. Like they would speak to the audience, they would step up and speak to the audience, like in a play. So yeah, once again, cutscenes, I actually have no problem with them like being bundled towards the end, as long as the stuff before that is good, which it is, then that's fine. Next up, I wanted to talk about sort of the story content as a whole, like what actually happened. I'm not going to get into any spoilers apart from what's on the screen, but I'm going to make sure that whatever is on the screen is not going to be too spoilery. The story content, I think, was really good. I claim to be a bit smarter than the average person. However, it did take a little bit of time just to sort of wrap my head around the whole of this story, but I do think that once you understand it, however, Part 2 did sort of clear up a lot of things. It did sort of explain it to those that did not understand. So thank you, Kuro Games, because it was a bit hard to wrap my head around all these sort of different moving cogs in this story, which they did help by sort of explaining a few things. But the story content itself I found was quite intriguing. It is a real main story quest. I'll give it that. It is really Wuthering Waves. It is Wuthering Waves at its heart. Without saying too much spoilers, the Fractsidus are indeed back, and they are doing what the Fractsidus do. Yeah, Ryuku-sensei, you wanted your apocalyptic shit. Well, guess what? You're gonna enjoy this story. So yeah, story content's good, cutscene's good, pacing's good, the expressions are good. So I'm gonna have to give this story probably a 9.5 out of 10. And of course, in the story, we are given a cliffhanger as to what comes next. So of course, yes, I'm looking forward to 2.5 and onwards. But anyways, what did you guys think? Did you like the story? What did you think you didn't like? If you didn't, what did you like? Please let me know in the comments. So we are now onto the spoiler section. So if you do not want to get spoiled, then please vacate the video. So I wanted to talk about basically the Fractsidus. The Fractsidus are back. To my surprise, Cristoforo is evil as hell. The dude is mental. And Frolova seems to be sort of not getting redeemed, but she does not care for Cristoforo's sort of theatrics, which I am pleased about. Because of course, the Fractsidus are technically just a ragtag group of people with all one similar objective. What they did to Mia was absolutely mental, man. The fact that they fed her ruins of Septimon to feed her as an envoy of the Thenodium and the Dark Tide as well, to then make her this abomination, which is what the Fractsidus do, by the way, because the Fractsidus objective is to fuse human slash, you know, like resonators with tacit discords. So the fact that they did that, well, it's very Fractsidus of them. And of course, Cristoforo and Scar together. Even though Scar didn't get any dialogue, I really wonder what they're planning. I really do wonder what they're planning. It's very interesting. And of course, Rover's future as well. We're given information, but of course we have to go and find it. And that's in the new map that might be 2.5 or 2.6. The Septimon Hunting Grounds, which you can actually go and find if you go to the south of Septimon. It is a massive area if you look at its silhouette. It's absolutely massive. So that plot line is going to be intriguing as well. We have a lot of plot lines going forward in this. So yes, I cannot wait. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you on the next video. Goodbye for now.